Good day everyone. In this video I'm going to do a quick run through of the latest update to Luminar Neo, which is slated to be released around October 10th, so later on next week, as this is released on the 6th of October. Now this is a beta or a demo version, so there might be some slight changes, but I wouldn't anticipate it would be much different to what you see in here. So the changes that I wanted to cover today fall into three categories. We've got catalog improvements, we've then got color masking, and then color transfer. So I'm going to start with catalog improvements. And the very first one is this creation of a detailed view. So I'm in the catalog at the moment, and we can change the size of the images and everything else. But we can also go into minimal view or detailed view. And what detailed view does is it starts to show the star ratings, whether they're pics or not, and also the file names. So I think this is really handy because it actually allows us to start to have a little bit more of a catalog within Luminar Neo. Now that leads into the second change, which is we actually now have the ability to search by metadata, which again is another really useful tool. And we can sort by a lot of different things. So has it been edited or not? When was it captured? When was it edited? What camera was used, and so on. I think what's really cool though is that we can apply multiple filters. So I only have the one camera here, so I'll select that. And then what I can do is also apply by a rating. So I can say, show me 5-star images that were taken with that camera. And there's only one there. If I change that to 0 stars, of course, it'll disappear. I can then sort of search by all the 0 stars and so on. So I think this is a really, really useful tool. Another thing that we have here is that we can actually change album orders as well. So at the moment I have these on custom, but we could search by album name. We could update, or order by recently updated, or photo count as well. We could also though go to custom, and I could shift these around to whatever order I wanted. So I think this is really useful because again, it starts to bring that catalog back a little bit. It just makes it a little bit easier to order things in the way that you want, to be able to get the best out of your organizational system, whatever that may be. Now, as well as album order and search by metadata, we also have something called Smart Search. And Smart Search uses AI to allow us to search for images based on objects within them. So I could say, show me photos that have a bridge in them. And if I do that, I'll then see the photos that have a bridge. Or I might say, show me photos that are taken at night. And then I've got night there. I might say, show me photos that have a tree in them. And I've got photos with a tree. So I think that's a really useful tool that allows you to search for the objects in your photos. As well as Smart Search though, we also have some additions within the film strip. So by that, if you go into edit, you can see over here an icon for the film strip. And if I expand that, you can see the 2 photos within there. So it allows us to kind of move across those photos as we see fit, which again, I think is really handy, and it just optimizes image editing that little bit more to be able to go through whatever these photos are that you have and then see them all in the film strip of the edit view. So one of the other features that we have as well is called color masking. And I'm going to go into this photo here just to show what color masking is all about. So I think a lot of you would know pretty well about masking and what it is, and really just in a brief description, masking allows us to select certain parts of the image by, we could either brush it manually, we could create gradients, we could select an object, And it then allows us to make changes to just that specific area of the image where we masked. So we may want to adjust one part of the image and leave another fine. And an example of that might be the sky. You may want to darken the sky and brighten the foreground, or vice versa, and masking allows you to do that. Now, the addition to masking is called color masking, and it's exactly as it sounds. What I've done is I've gone into develop, in edits, in tools. So I'll go to develop. I'm going to go to masking, because if I don't and I adjust this, you'll see it applies to the whole image itself. I'll clear adjustments, back to the start, and then I'll go to develop, masking, and I'm going to select color. And now what color does is it analyzes the image and tries to work out what the different colors are, and then it gives you an eyedropper, and it's actually asking to pick the sample color that you want to mask. So I'm going to pick around here, and you'll see it's picked that color on the red. Now I can expand this and make it a little bit greater or less, or I could pick another section and do the same thing. So I'll do it about here, and then I'm just expanding that to pick up more of that mask itself. Now that I've got that selected, I can start to maybe tweak the exposure, the smart contrast, shadows, highlights, and so on. And you'll see it's just applying that to the area that I've masked. So I think this is a really pretty useful tool, because it actually allows us to start to select different areas and tweak those based on color itself, rather than having to manually brush. Now, of course, there are a lot of different colors in the image, and you'll see in this one there's different greens and grays and so on. So it's going to depend how delineated your images are as to, how accurate it might be. But I think that was maybe a better example there, where you can see the kind of grey that I selected. I'm able to darken that a lot more, and it doesn't affect the other parts of the image nearly as much. So I think that is a really useful tool for those that want that additional power that masking can create, but want to be able to do that based on color itself. The last thing that I've got in this brief video is color transfer. And color transfer is a tool that allows you to take a reference image and then apply the color palette that's in that image to another image. It does exactly what it sounds. You can do it with either images, like reference images that they have, or you could use your own reference images. So if you wanted to use your own, you just click on the plus and you add that in, and then you can basically apply that to your image. So here I've got a picture of the Sydney Opera House, and I'm going to go to color transfer, and I'm going to take this kind of really bright, vivid city, Twilight Cityscape it's called. And I've clicked on that, and what it's going to do now is it's going to analyze my image and analyze the image that it's got, and it's going to try and work out how it can adapt the colors to suit the image and basically apply that reference palette to it. Now, a couple of things to note. Its speed will vary a lot based on how similar the images are or aren't. So I have tried on other images, and it could often take up to a minute or so, whereas with this it's much, much quicker. You then have the ability to adjust the amount that you want to apply to your image. You may want not much, or you may want 100%. You may want to, obviously 100 is a bit extreme. I'll go back to 60. And then we can also adjust the color intensity, luminosity intensity, and so on. And you could mask that as well if you wanted to. So I'm going to go back to another image and I'm going to find one of my Harbour Bridge photos. And we'll do the same thing with this image. Now this leads into something that I hadn't mentioned in the catalogue improvements, which is virtual copies. So virtual copies allows you to create a copy of an image, and what that will then do is that any changes you make to that copy will not be reflected in the original. And that's really useful if you wanted to make a black and white version of an image but keep the original. So it means that those those edits are applied to the virtual copy. And you'll see here there's a number 2. That's basically saying this is the second image. If I go back to the first, this is the first or the original. So you can have multiple virtual copies and that number will just increase. Now it will copy the edits that you had done to the original photo. So if you have made edits to that, they will also be in the virtual copy, but then you can just, I believe you could revert to original to clear those. Now I'm going to go back into the color transfer and I'm going to take that same colorful reference selection because I think it suits a photo like this, and we're going to apply and see what that looks like. Again, the more similar your photo is to the reference, the quicker it will be. The more dissimilar, the longer it will take as well. So, you know, your mileage may vary, but I think it is a useful tool to allow you to get changes to your photo and try and match a certain style of image. So in sort of recapping the changes, as I said, there's that expanded detail view, the ability to search by metadata and ratings. We can change album orders. We had the smart search, and then we've also got this film strip in the edit view. There was that color masking, which would allow us to select by a certain color within a photo and mask that. And then there's also the color transfer, which will allow us to take a certain feeling from a reference image and then apply that to another photo. So it allows you to kind of transfer the feel and mood. And maybe that might be there's a certain style from a photographer that you want to emulate, or it could even also be that you've got a certain style that you just want to be able to apply to all of your images really easily, kind of like a dark and moody feel. So I think it's really useful for those sorts of things. As always, I hope this has been useful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And this will be released on October 10th. Now I'll put a link, it's an affiliate link, but I'll put a link in the description of this video. And also check out, there's a coupon code in there, which I believe is Travis Hale, which may give you an additional discount as well. That may not always apply during sales, so it's worth a try either way. Thanks for watching.